And we are back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session here for the Malaysian Grand Prix. I'm once again JW97, and I'm once again joined by Ra.
Yep, hello everybody.
Hello, indeed. And you thought that dog commentary was a common thing for me. Try rooster commentary, because a rooster has just literally opened up its set of pipes just before we went on the air. So, yeah, that's that really. So we're getting ready for the qualifying session. As you can see, we've got rain for qualifying. So this is the first proper test. 35% chance of rain for Q1, 15% for Q2, and 20% for Q3. So we're getting ready to start it. So I'm going to ask you, Ra, who do you think will be eliminated in Q1?
I'm gonna say both Manners, both Hasses, and Alpha and A Williams.
I'm going to say both Manners, both Hasses, a Williams and an Alpha. So that's my prediction. As you can see, every driver is going to be on the normal wet tyres to start off with. So it seems that I should point out as well that as you saw on the weather there's a mix of normal wet rain and inter rain. So whether we'll see inters later on, we'll have to wait and see. I highly doubt it, but we'll see. It might just be normal wets for the entirety of the session. So Joseph Willows is going to be the first driver out on the track in these conditions here at Sepang. And he now makes his way onto the racetrack now then, before making his way down towards the first corner now then, flicking the car in through the right-hander. And he's also joined by Daniel Fraser and Franco Lopez, who aren't wasting any time to get out on the track. And so too for Laura Chung. It looks like Fraser and Lopez quite close together on the exit of the pit lane there.
If Lopez is able to overtake Fraser, then his lap won't be compromised. Fraser's beginning of the lap could be, but it depends.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that, as a lot of cars make their way out of the pit lane right now then. All of them, as I mentioned, on normal wets. Martinez having to wait for a gap in the traffic, it seems, because there's a lot of drivers coming down pit lane. As we now look at Willows, who's now making his way towards the double right-hander, flicking the car in for the right, and then into the second part of the right-hander.
Just like from our famous Japanese driver, it's a traffic paradise.
It seems so indeed, as now around the hairpin now then. Willow's preparing to start his lap very soon. Not all the cars are out on track yet, so we're just waiting and just looking down on the mini-map on the top right. Or I should say looking up on the mini-map, I should say. Well done, Joe. Perfect grammar. But one person who I think we'll need to keep an eye on, of course, in qualifying is, of course, Franco Lopez, because it appears that the last few qualifyings he hasn't really done well, has he, Ra?
We already know a jokingly reason why, but yeah, he seems to be off form in qualifying. I think he's more of a race kind of guy. He turns it up in the race, even though at the start of the season he was pretty much really good in the qualifying.
Yes, indeed. So I might as well pull up. There's only one prediction so far in the stream chat coming from Chanek. He says both Manners, both Haas, and Alpha and the Williams. And for some reason, he's put an Alpha Tauri as well. For some reason, he's put 7 there. So I think you need to remove one there from Chanek. You put 7 down, not 6. So
oh no, Laura is mad.
So now going around turn 2, then goes Willows, as he obviously has just started his lap. Going through turn 3 now then, we'll go the McLaren driver, as he will now make his way up towards turn 4 on the racetrack.
God damn it, Kiro.
Now going into turn 4, as it's a 26.373 in the first sector for Joseph Willows. And
Lopez is compromised, of course.
To the left and then into the right-hander. Is Kero referencing the Coldplay song there?
Yeah, yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Coldplay are actually quite a good band, in fact. So,
yeah.
Going out of the double right-hander before making his way up towards the hairpin. And we'll be interested to see what this corner is like in the race, given its history, along with other corners. Willow is now approaching the end of Sector 2. It's a 1 minute 3.391. Just looking at other people's first sectors at this point in time. Just looking at Willow's as compared to everybody else. Carr has set a better first sector than him. Same for Lopez. Lopez, in fact, has gone to the 25s in the first sector. Same for George Roke, in fact. So Roke going quicker than Carr in the first sector. Coming around the second to last corner now, then we go Joseph Willows before he now makes his way onto the support pit straight. And now heading down towards final corner, quite a long run before heading towards that final turn. As for anybody wondering, because I didn't mention it in the practice stream, we are using the medium tyres for this week's Malaysian Grand Prix. Should it be a dry race, of course, but also the wear rate you should expect the same to be what it would be if we were on the medium tyres for the wet inter and extreme wet conditions. As Willows crosses the line of 147, which gets smashed by Lopez, who looks like he got a healthy bit of slipstream from Willows there to do a 144.3. Fraser goes third, Chung only second, 2 seconds off of Lopez, so it seems that Lopez got a healthy bunch of slipstream there to help him out as De Rosa went into third. I should also point out as well there is a softer and harder compound of the normal wet, so that's also something to bear in mind. Rote lost time, he's 1.7 off of Lopez and goes into second. Chatfield 7th, I don't know if he made a mistake on his lap. P4 for Byrne, P8 for Kirby as we now look at Jake Galloway. And I wonder if most of these guys are on the harder compound of the normal wet tyre. Maybe Lopez was on the softer compound of the normal wet. As only 9th place there for Jake Galloway.
Okay.
As Watson going back into the pits. Has
he doesn't.
Or has
Did
he changed off?
Oh, he's made
off.
Yeah.
A mistake. So I wonder if he's got some damage from rumbling over the gravel. Let's have a look. And the answer to that is, yes, there it is. Look, you can see it just flying there. So, yes, Motrin has damage, so that's his lap already ruined. That's 1 lap already in the bin for him. So, yep, so Motrin not getting off to the best start in qualifying, making a mistake, doing a little bit of a Sergio Perez mistake going into that corner, but losing his front wing in the process, so he has to come back into the pits to get that one repaired, and it looks like he may have held up Galloway in the process of that as well. Sontag goes into 10th, Griffiths goes wherever he goes. The lap times are going very quickly now. Garber 2nd, Gal 4th, Carr only 9th at the moment as Videri's being overtaken there by the AlphaTauri of QPOC, and so these two have obviously compromised their laps.
More compromisation behind as well.
13th for David Kupok, 17th for Videri, as Martinez way off the pace in 19th, as Gomez 17th. Wilson crosses the line and she goes 14th. 11th for Roberto Garma, and there the first lap's done because of course Motrin got damaged with Lopez at the top by over a second. But how much of that do you think is down to slipstream, Ra?
Well, pretty much. I don't think it's that much, but then again, 1.2 seconds ahead of everyone else. I think most of them on the hard tire of the normal wets. But you never know.
Von Chanek has changed his prediction. He's actually saying both Williams will go through into Q2. So he's saying both Manners, both Haas, an Alpha and an AlphaTauri. So that's his predictions. Chris has also put, I think, both Manners, both Haas, 1 Alpha and a Williams. So he's gone the same as me there. So anyway, as we now look at Roland Motrin, he'll be heading back out onto the track very soon, of course, because he obviously had damage on his first flying lap, so that lap would have straight away gone into the bin. But again, bear in mind that some of these guys may have been on a harder compound than the normal wets, and some on the softer compound, so that would explain why we've got so many big gaps in the pecking order so far. So Motrin coming out of the pits, but he's having to wait for someone, I think. Yes, he's having to wait for the Haas to go by. So I think I just looked in the sky, in fact. Is it actually starting to get brighter in the sky? I'm not sure, really,
just
if it is
getting
getting I know, but I was looking at the sky to see if it was getting a little bit brighter or not. But for some reason, we're not going back on board to see that. So, it's still a little bit murky, but I'd say it's a little bit brighter than what it was earlier. So, as Motrin now then goes out onto the track, of course, he hasn't set a time yet because he obviously got damage on his first lap, as many cars are still coming back into the pits. And let's see if this test is still a work now. Further test of this pit lane, bit of contact there, little tap there, but overall, I think it's fine, is it? Well, Wilson is going a little bit off, but she hasn't crashed.
Fine.
So she's fine, although there is damage there, though. And that's Felix Sontag has had a crash. So it seems that it's not 100%. Let's have a look. It looks like he was side by side with Carr going into the pits. So, see then. So going into the pit lane entrance. And so, well, there's a bit of contact there. They look like they got in pretty normally there. But,
and then Carr
tried to go around. It looks like maybe Sontag got caught on a wet patch, perhaps. I'm not sure. Because it's not like one of the normal ones we've seen. Was that a Red Bull also with damage as well I just saw there? Not 100% sure. It's a little bit. Burns also got damage. So, maybe it's not 100% rectified, this pit lane, so maybe further work for Yuri to do. He did say if there is any problems, he can easily rectify it. So
And
he
that
did
was
say that.
definitely
So
not Fraser, since Fraser's in the pit.
that was Kirby. He just went by there, not Daniel Fraser. I think Fraser was the one that held up Roland Motrin going out onto the track. Okay. Right then. Okay, so obviously burn with damage, and it's holding up a bit of a traffic jam in the pit lane. I think I did
And
see if I see
yeah,
as well.
oh,
Yeah,
there's a Red Bull as well.
that was coming into the pit lane, by the way.
Yeah,
So I did see there was a Red Bull with damage. So maybe
that
not
is.
100% there for the pit lane entrance. But anyway, we might as well just move on from this, really, because otherwise we'll be here forever. So that's that, really. So let's get back to Roland Motrin, shall we? Whilst
Ooh,
this lot
yeah,
figure it out.
that Red Bull
So
definitely exploded.
yeah, let's go back to the racing point then. Roland Motrin, here he is. Of course, he had damage on the first lap because he made a mistake going through into the corner where Sergio Perez had his little incident earlier on. So Roland Motrin now then makes his way towards the hairpin, the left-hander. So now,
When you say early on, how early on?
yeah, somebody asked that about you, how early on. So through the right-hander, and now making his way towards the left and right complex. Only person as mentioned to still do a lap at the moment. No mistake this time by for Roland Motrin as he just goes by the bit where he made the mistake a little bit earlier on. So he will now approach that final corner to start his next flying lap. Some more cars coming out of the pit, so Roland will be hoping he doesn't get any traffic when he goes out on track. By the time he starts his lap, I should say. As he now makes his way through the final turn. As now he's going to start his lap coming out of the final turn, and he will now start his proper first flying lap after his earlier one got ruined earlier on. That made no sense, Joseph. Well done, but there we are. And it doesn't look like he's going to get affected too much by the traffic, so it looks like it's going to be a clean lap for Roland Motrin, unless he somehow catches up very quickly to that Haas in front of Daniel Fraser. But we will wait and see as Motrin comes out of turn 2. Around the long swooping right hander he will go now then before making his way up towards turn 4 on the racetrack. So now approaching turn 4 we go. Making it in through the right hander and using all the curve on the outside before making his way towards the well, it's usually flat out when it's dry, but I wouldn't imagine it being dry in the wet conditions. Through the left and right hander we go. And now approaching the double right hander we will go now then, flicking it in for the right. And into the next right-hander we will go. And let's see then what Motrin can do. Obviously, the sector point is after this hairpin he's coming up to. And let's see what his second split time is like compared to Franco Lopez. And he is 8 tenths off of Lopez in the second sector. So it'd be interesting to see where he ends up. Of course, he won't have the benefit of the slipstream that Lopez had earlier on in the session that he got from Joseph Willows. But we'll wait and see what he can do anyway regardless. His teammate is up in third place, George Roque. He's 1.7 off of Lopez and currently 5 tenths, well, nearly 5 tenths behind Franco Gamba. Motrin now then coming down the support pit straight. Might get a tiny bit of slipstream from the Haas, but not too much, as they'll now make their way towards the final corner. And now through the final turn and onto the pit straight now then we'll go Roland Motrin, as he will now come down the pit straight and across the line go the Hungarian, and he goes into third. He gets in front of his teammate. So into the top 3 goes Roland Motrin, as 2 cars are going side by side into that final corner. As we now look at Roque, who's the next one on a lap, as he now makes his way through the double right-hander. Roque currently in 4th position, but currently down on his personal best. You can see there on the def panel in the first sector. Let's see what it's like in the second sector now then. Through the hairpin he goes. And now let's see what the end of the second sector is like, and he's actually up on his personal best. He's found some time in the middle sector, so he might have not lost too much time onto his he may have been off by his personal best by a little bit in the first sector, but found a heap of time in the middle sector to find himself 3 tenths up on his personal best. So at the moment, this should see him maybe get back in front of his teammate Motrin, but in terms of Franco Gama, I'm not sure, and he's also going to get a healthy bit of slipstream, in fact, from the Williams in front, that Williams being Jamie Griffiths. But let's see
He
if he's
might
going to get
lose
held up.
time.
Might, and he's going to tuck back in, so that might cost George Roke here as a result. Into the final turn. And onto the pit straight now then we will go. And Roke trying to get a little bit more slipstream if he can to compensate
So
that.
yellow
We've got
flag.
a yellow flag, and that's at... oh, it's Kirishima DeRosa. That's at the quick left-right-hander as Roke goes into second place. Now, was there contact with the Alfa Romeo behind?
No.
And no, it wasn't. First of all, it was a Ferrari. But second of all, no, that was a driver error from Kirishima DeRosa. And he was up on his personal best. So that lap has already gone down the toilet for Kirishima DeRosa. But he is currently in 8th. So far, I wouldn't worry too much if I was Kirishima DeRosa at this point in time. But as mentioned, Roke has got up into second thanks to that lap. Next up, we look at Chatfield, is up on his personal best by a massive amount, so this should get him up massively. He is currently in the drop zone, and he gets up into 6th, so a much needed lap for him there then. DeRosa was up, but let's not forget he made that mistake, so that lap has already gone down the toilet for the Polish driver, soon to be Italian in 2021. DeRosa now then out of the final turn and onto the pit straight. Go the Polish driver, and across the line then goes DeRosa, and he does a 155 as a result of that mistake. Fraser up on his personal best, and he goes up to 9th. A big improvement there then for Daniel Fraser. Here comes Lopez. He's up on his personal best, and he goes into the 1 minute 43s now. 1 minute 43.907 for Franco Lopez. Willow's up on his personal best. Across the line, goes up to 4th. Car up on his personal best, and he goes fastest by 7/10 of a second. A 143.201 for Armar Carr. Chung doesn't improve. She remains down in 9th position. Galloway is up on his personal best. Let's see what the Ferrari-bound 2021 driver can do. Galloway coming out the final turn. It looks like he's still on the harder compound on the normal wets, judging from the lap time compared to Carr. Across the line he goes, and he goes up to 13th. Miklos Gal is up on his personal best. He's currently in 7th across the line, and he goes up to 6th, gets above fellow compatriot Roland Motrin. Rosetta Martinez is up on his personal best. Let's see what the Filipino can do. Across the line, he will now go, and a big improvement goes up into 16th, pushes Kupok into the drop zone now then. So Andrea Vaderi across the line, he will go, gets up into 16th, pushes Martinez back into the drop zone. Kupok gets out of the drop zone, pushes Vaderi back into that drop zone, gets up into 14th. Griffiths up on his personal best. The Welshman now then coming across the line, and he goes up only into 18th, so he's still in the drop zone. Franco Gamba up on his personal best. What can the Italian driver do? Across the line, he will go, and he gets up into 3rd, so he gets into the top 3 there. Dudu Kirby is up on his personal best. He's currently just in the cusp of the top 16, so far in Q2 right now, but he improves even further to go up into 13th. Sontag on an improvement, he gets up into 10th, a big improvement there for him. Roberto Gamba goes up into 4th, gets behind his cousin Franco. Evan Byrne also up on his personal best, but he loses time in the last sector and doesn't improve, stays in 12th position. His teammate Jake Galloway in the cuss, and he was up on his personal best. So what has happened here to Evan Byrne? Did he just lose time in the last sector? And there it was. He made a mistake going through into this left-right-hander where Kiro made his mistake earlier. Byrne also made a mistake, but luckily for him, he didn't spin off like Kiro did. So he's made a big mistake there, going through the flat-out left and right-hander. And so that has cost him some time there. He was on a big improvement, but that lap has already gone in the bin for the Irishman. Gomez up on his personal best. He's currently last at the moment, so he's desperate to get out of the drop zone. It looks like he's going to make a massive improvement. Up into 9th place he goes. So up into P9 goes Gabriel Gomez. That pushes Galloway now into the drop zone. So Galloway's already done a lap. And, well, this could be bad news for him indeed as we look back at Roland Motrin, who's going to be starting a lap very soon. But, well, bad news if your name's Jake Galloway at the moment, Ra.
Same goes for David Kupok, again, in 18th as well.
Let's not forget as well, Kupok got eliminated last time out in Korea as well. Only managed 20th at the Korean Grand Prix. Could we be looking at another Q1 knockout for David Kupok here in Malaysia? That is going to be the question. And hello, Daniel, who's just joined us in the chat. The contenders for Ferrari, Rob. I mentioned them in the news vid, but I'll mention them to you anyway in case you missed it. The main contenders now are Chris Chatfield, Bartosz Kloss, and Dennis Graf at this point. Dennis is only a contender if Chris and Bartosz miss out on then get their number 1 choice, I should say. Chris's number 1 choice is, of course, AlphaTauri, and Bartosz Kloss's number 1 choice is Haas. If those two get their number 1 choice, then Dennis Graf will become a contender for Ferrari. Laura Chung is also still a contender for Ferrari, but it's looking highly unlikely that she will probably head off to Lamborghini next season. So that's why Chris Chatfield and Bartosz Kloss are the main contenders at this point in time. Because, of course, Chatfield is fighting with Kupok to be Miklos Gal's teammate at AlphaTauri next season. And, of course, Bartosz Kloss is in that fight to be Amelia Wilson's teammate at Haas for next season, along with Daniel Fraser, who is determined to get retained by the team for another season. As meanwhile, Roland Mottram, back to the action, has just started his lap. I would imagine this will be his final flying lap because of how much time there's left on the clock. Just over 3 minutes to go here in Q1, and it could be very interesting. We could see a shocking elimination in the form of Jake Galloway if he doesn't get back out onto the racetrack. Is to get out before 1 minute 43, I would say. Otherwise, it could be curtains for him in qualifying already, as Mottram finds himself 1/10 down on his personal best in the first sector now. Then they now make their way through the flat-out left-hander. De Rosa is back out onto the racetrack through the left and then through the right-hander. Then we'll go the Hungarian before making his way towards the double right-hander. So through the double right-hander then goes Roland Mottram. He'll soon be approaching the end of Sector 2 very, very soon. And just keeping an eye on that to see if anybody in the bottom 6 make it through. And just looking around, waiting to see if anybody in the bottom 6. In fact, Roland Mottram has found some time in the middle sector. He's now up on his personal best in the middle sector. So it seems that the drivers are able to find more time in the middle sector than they can in the first sector, so that's an interesting point. No one in the bottom 6 has still gone out yet, so this could be a problem. For Derry has now gone out, as I've just said that, but Galloway needs to get out there, otherwise it's going to be curtains. Martinez is out, Wilson is out there on the track. Galloway's still not gone out, nor has Cupock and nor has Griffiths right now, as the timer is ticking down as Roland Mottram makes his way towards the final corner. And I think, Galloway might have just got it in the nick of time there. We'll have to wait and see on that, but Cupock and Griffiths have not. So Cupock, again, out in Q1, and Griffiths is also out as well. So his run of good qualifying come to an end for Jamie Griffiths, and Mottram crosses the line to go up into 7th to get in front of his fellow compatriot. So an improvement there then, as we look to see who the next one's on a lap, and that is George Rowe. But it looks like he's getting held up by one of the Manners in front. Whether that's Wilson or Martinez, I'm not 100% sure, because I think both Manners are currently together on the racetrack, as Roke tries to find a way through on that Manor, but isn't able to make it work. But I think Roke is perfectly okay anyway, because he's up in P5, so I'll get back to you on that, Rob, as I'm currently in the commentary. I'll read that in a little bit, because I know you sent me a Discord message regarding GP2, so I'll read that in a little bit. So, coming around the right-hander, before anybody asks, no, it's not a commentary job, before anybody asks, because I do think Dennis is still doing that, if I'm not mistaken. So, anyway, as Roke's still down on his personal best in the middle sector, that is because he's still got the 2 Manners in front of him right now. I don't know which order the 2 Manners are in, but anyway, Roke getting into the slipstream of this Manor, and this Manor being, I'm just trying to look at the helmet, that is Rosetta Martinez, because he obviously wears the Hulkenberg helmet, so that is Martinez, that's the one that's holding up Roke. Wilson is the one that's in front of Martinez. The Martinez, both Manners will give themselves one more chance to get themselves through into Q2, but I think one of them might get compromised by Roke if they're not careful, that being Martinez. Maybe even both if Roke can quickly catch up to Wilson. But Roke, as expected, did not improve. Now, can Galloway make it? That's the question. He's just coming around the final corner. I think he's just done enough, in fact, but he has got a Red Bull behind that may be giving him trouble. So maybe a bit of trouble there. But Galloway has made it, so has that Red Bull. But that Red Bull might give him some trouble, which could cost him a chance to get into Q2. We will see. We ride on board now with Chris Chatfield, who's getting held up by one of the Haas drivers. And now coming around second to last corner now, then we go. Chatfield now then going to have a go at Kirby, this is, and getting a lot more traction than what Dudu Kirby is. That's quite impressive. They're both on a fresh set of tyres, I believe. So, yeah, very impressive in traction there for Chris Chatfield. As coming around the final corner, bit of contact, and that is, I think, because Dudu was trying to get into the pits there. So, maybe some settings don't change. So, Chatfield, where is he in the qualifying right now? He's currently 10th, so I think he might be okay anyway, even if he was not improving. So I think Chatfield might be okay to go through anyway, but bit of drama to end the session there, as Kirby decides to smack it into the wall in the pit lane there. And luckily, I don't think he's on the racing line, so I don't think he's going to hold anybody up. Here comes Fraser, meanwhile. He's currently,
You're also goes to 6th.
To 6th position, so an improvement there for him. As Kirby is currently in the custody. That's a brave Marshall who's just walked across there. We've seen quite a lot of those on Grand Prix 4. As Fraser now then comes down the pit straight, and across the line will go Daniel Fraser. And he goes up to 15th, or stays in 15th, I should say, but improves on his best time. Here comes Amar Khan and Franco Lopez, both of them up on their personal best. Around the final turn we go, and onto the pit straight. Then we'll go Khan and Lopez. Now making their way down the pit straight, and across the line will go the two Mercedes drivers. Khan crosses the line, no improvement. Lopez does improve, but still in second, 43 thousandths off of Amar Khan in the end. As here comes Joseph Willows, who's currently in 7th. I think he's safely through anyway, but he's just going to cross the line anyway and remains in 7th place. Laura Chung crossed the line, she gets up into 5th. A big improvement there for Laura Chung. Here comes Andrea Vaderi, he's in the drop zone, so last chance for him to get himself through. Kirby could find himself out here if he's not careful. Cross line goes for Derry, and no, he can't. Up to 18th. As Wilson goes to the 12th. What a lap for Amelia Wilson. As Martinez goes down to 20, that means Kirby is out of the session. As Gal did overtake Galloway. That could be bad news for Jake Galloway here. As meantime, Miklos Gal comes across the line. He goes fastest by 86 pounds a second. And this is not good news for Galloway. He's going to cross the line.
He made it just about.
He just made it. He pushes both asses out. So Galloway just makes it through into Q2 there by the skin of his teeth. Byrne just makes it as well. And well. That was quite an entertaining end to the session. So Gal fastest from Car in 2nd and Lopez in 3rd. And your bottom 6 to recap are Daniel Fraser, Dudu Kirby, Andrea Vaderi, Rosetta Martinez, David Kupak on the back row of the grid for tomorrow. That's going to be interesting. And Jamie Griffiths in last position. So a lot of carnage there, Rob. But Amelia Wilson once again making it through into Q2.
Yep, indeed. I was very concerned on Evan Byrne as well, because I thought Federi could improve by a lot more, but he actually didn't. And Galloway got compromised, but he managed to find a lot of time in the final sector. And yeah, brilliant lap by Wilson as well. She makes it into Q2 once again.
Indeed. Well, we're just going to wait for Q2 to get underway very soon. I'm pretty sure Yui will also try and change his setting a little bit on the pit entrance whilst he's at it. So just bear with. Q2 will be coming up very, very soon. And of course, there is if I'm not mistaken, a 15% chance of rain for Q2 as well. So that's something else to bear in mind. We had 35% for this session, but we've got 15% for this next one. So there could be a chance that the session could be dry for this one, given it's only 15%, but we'll wait and see. And there's only 20% for Q3 as well. So we will wait and see on that, as I now try and get a photo from Amar Khan, if I can find one, which I can. So pretty easy photo to find, really. Galwa, sorry, I do apologise. I completely forgot there, because everything sort of kicked off towards the end there. Kind of forgot that Gal actually topped it towards the end. So I do wonder if the conditions actually improved towards the end, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's something to question there. Will it be dry for Q2 though, given it's only 15%? We'll have to wait and see on that. But in the meantime, guys, let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in Q2 whilst I put this tweet out. And so that's that, really. And so have a look as right, just putting the tweet up. So bear with me if I go a bit silent for the moment. Checking. Yep, and they are the ones to go in. And Griffiths. But one more thing I do want to bring up as well, whilst we're waiting as well. David Kupak again eliminated in Q1, but this time he's starting on the back row of the grid. A lot of work to do for him tomorrow.
Yeah, it seems that he doesn't really like the wet weather conditions. I mean, in Korea, he got knocked out. You mean wet weather conditions as well in Q1, and again, it's happened again for him.
Indeed so. So, hello, Jamie. Yes, congratulations. You are staying at Williams for next season. So, congratulations on another season. And I guess you'll be hoping that the team makes big progress in the fantasy era next season. So, that's that. And Okay, so I'm just looking around as we wait for the next session to get underway. I haven't heard that rooster outside for a while now, the one that interrupted me before we started. But here we go then, Q2 about to get underway, and would you know it, it's going to be dry. The 15% chance of rain has not arrived. It's going to be a bright and sunny Q2. So we're going to get a dry session for this one. So let us know your predictions, guys. So I'm going to ask you, Ra, who do you think will be eliminated in Q2? Yes.
Yes.
What's your prediction, Ra, then for Q2?
I'm gonna say Wilson. What was it? Sontag and who was there? Wasn't it one of the Alfa males? Wasn't it as well?
Gomez was the one that went
Yeah,
through.
yeah, Gomez, and then the other three will be. I'm gonna say a Renault, and
Okay.
then I'm gonna say both Renaults and an AlphaTauri.
Okay, you've kind of stolen what I was going to say there, Ra. You kind of read my mind because that was the same prediction I had, which was Gomez, Griffiths, Wilson, Chatfield, and both Renaults. So that's that really. But we've got the first car on track, which is Kirishima DeRosa. He's going to be the first on track for Q2. And in the dry conditions, and a reminder for anybody, the tyres we are using are the medium tyres. So that's that really. So DeRosa makes his way through the first corners on the racetrack. And now towards the flat out right hander for making his way up towards turn 4, and so he's about to obviously he'll be the first one to start lap. Also on the track with him now we have Felix Sontag, Emilio Wilson, Franco Lopez, Almarcar and Roland Motrin. Just going to check what everybody else's predictions are. Let's have a look. We've only got a jokey one at the moment, or now we've got two, but the jokey one from Laura was both Red Bulls, both Mercedes, a Racing Point and a Manor, and some others. That makes it 7. Laura, more than 6. So anyway, Fonchanik's prediction is Wilson, Sontag, Chatfield, Gomez, a Ferrari, and a Renault. So okay, very interesting there. So that's that really. As now we look at DeRosa, who's about to start out very soon. Not all 16 cars are out on the track yet, but they are slowly starting to move, as you can see on the mini map on the top right there. And I believe all 16 have now gone out onto the racetrack, so that shouldn't be an issue. The question is, will the pit lane still be an issue like we saw in Q1? We'll have to wait and see on that. I do believe that you may have made some changes in between Q1 and Q2, so we'll wait and see on that, if those changes work, or whether it's just a wet conditions thing. But anyway, DeRosa now then comes down the pit straight. He now starts his first flying lap of Q2, so the first time we're going to get some representative dry times for qualifying. And now Kiro through into the first 2 corners on the racetrack then. So through turn 1, then into turn 2 he will go. Flicks the car in through the second corner. And then around this long swooping turn 3. Before making his way up towards turn 4, where we saw Joel Hutter go off several times in 2017. DeRosa up towards turn 4. 23.082 in the first sector there. As DeRosa now then goes around the flat out left. Then into a medium speed right-hander, a lift of acceleration through into there. I don't know if it's actually flat out with these cars. That's a question mark. But through into the double right-hander will go DeRosa, as he will now make his way down towards, well, up towards the hairpin and approaching the end of the second sector. So through the hairpin he goes, heading towards the end of sector 2 at 53.696. Just looking at everybody else's first sector times on the board. A 22.709 for Carr, 22.851 for Lopez. So at the moment, Carr seems to be the fastest in the first sector so far, as DeRosa now then goes around the second to last corner and now making his way down towards the final corner on the racetrack. Let's see what DeRosa can do now then. So in fact, there's a big train of cars forming behind there, involving Sontag and the 2 Mercedes there, Carr and Lopez. So that might not help Carr or Lopez, but then again it could, because we've seen how powerful the slipstream can be. A 131.253 for Kirishima De Rosa. Lopez comes across the line and he goes fastest by 0.2 of a second and over a second quicker for Carr. So Lopez obviously got affected a little bit more by Sontag there. Sontag goes into fourth. Wilson crosses the line, goes into fourth ahead of Sontag. Here comes Roland Motrin in the Racing Point coming out of the final turn. And across the line will go the Hungarian. Where's he going to place himself? He goes only P3 with that lap as he goes 400 off, exactly, off of Lopez. Byrne crosses the line, P5 for him. Laura Chung comes across the line and she goes P6. Here comes Miklos Gal across the line. He will now come in the Red Bull. And P2 for him gets in front of Lopez, but over a second behind Carr. So maybe the slipstream from Sontag really helping Armar Carr on this occasion. Here comes Franco Garma, sorry, and there's the wrong Franco there. Garma across the line, and he goes into 7th. Another good time for him there. Roberto Garma, his cousin now, then comes across the line, goes into 2nd. A good time for the man who's retiring at the end of the season. Here comes Joseph Willows across the line, goes P10 only. Jake Galloway, P7 for him. Chatfield crosses the line, P4, good time for him there. P2 for George Roke, so a lot of good times coming in here. As they're still over a second though behind Armar Carr. Gabriel Gomez goes into 16th position, 3 seconds off of Carr. So at the moment, Armar Carr at the top, but a very interesting leaderboard so far. And Franco Gamba currently in the drop zone right now, Ra.
Yep, indeed. Same goes for Laura Chung and Joseph Willows, then in 13th at the moment. I mean, it's very close, but still time for them to improve.
Indeed so, as the two Mercedes now come into the pits. Nobody seems to be side by side at the moment, so we might be avoiding some drama, which will be a blessed relief at the moment for the Yuri.
Less from the gods.
They all seem to be separated, so I think we're going to be okay on this occasion, as De Rosa is now back. Not yet, no. But anyway, Sontag now then in the pit lane. And we'll be ready for the next runs here in Q2. At the moment, Carr at the top with Roke in 2nd and Roberto Gamba in 3rd. And currently in the drop zone, we have Franco Gamba, Laura Chung, Joseph Willows, Amelia Wilson, Felix Sontag, and Gabriel Gomez at this point in time. As the mechanics will wheel the man of Wilson back into the garage. And so Wilson being wheeled back into the garage now then. And she'll be preparing for her next flying lap very, very soon. Flying laps, these people being, of course, Franco Gamba, Laura Chung, Joseph Willows, the notable 3 there to try and improve. And the 9th and 10th at the moment for the 2 Renaults, as Sontag having to wait for Lopez to go out on track. So Lopez is going to be the first on track for the second runs here. As Lopez now then goes out onto the racetrack and now making his way down towards the first corner. Flicking it in through turn 1. And then into turn 2 we go. As he will now make his way towards the long swooping right-hander. Now coming towards turn 4 on the racetrack. And into turn 4 he goes now then. As he will now make his way towards the flat-out left and right-hander. As more cars coming out on the track. We've got Armar Carr on track. We obviously mentioned Felix Sontag a little bit earlier on. Amelia Wilson out there as well, along with Franco Gamba, Evan Byrne as well. Kirishima De Rosa also out on the racetrack as well. Lopez making his way towards the hairpin. Sontag luckily won't have to worry too much about Lopez, as given they're in different machinery, I don't think he's going to get held up by the 2 of them. And coming towards the next section of corners, as they now come towards the flat-out left and right-hander. And now in towards the second to last corner. And now making his way towards the final corner, as Lopez will be starting his second flying up very soon. Roberto Gamba and Gabriel Gomez are still in the pit lane right now, as Lopez will be hoping he doesn't come across any of them, as he's preparing to start his next flying lap into the final turn. And onto the pit straight will go Franco Lopez. He now starts his second flying lap. Just keep an eye on the left-hand side, see if anybody's coming out of the pit lane. Obviously, Roberto Garba's just come out, but is he anywhere near Franco Lopez? And the answer to that is no. Roberto Garba too far away, as Gomez is still in the pit lane as we speak right now. Whether Gomez will hold up anybody is another question. But through the flat-out right-hander now then will go Franco Lopez. Obviously got affected quite a bit by Sontag as he finds himself 1/10 down on his personal best in the first sector. But do bear in mind he did get held up by Sontag on his previous lap, so you should expect potentially in the last sector and maybe even the second sector for the lap times to be green on his def panel, but we'll wait and see. Lopez now then towards the double right-hander now then through the first part, then through the second part he goes, using the curb on the outside before making his way down towards the hairpin. I should point out as well, of course, obviously because Mercedes had a double retirement, they weren't able to wrap up their slim chance of winning the Constructors' Championship early on last time out in Korea. They do have a second chance of winning it this week at Malaysia, where ironically they did set the record 5 seasons ago for the quickest time to wrap up the Constructors' Championship, as they wrapped it up ironically here at Malaysia back in 2016 with 5 races to spare, and that would be the same if they were in there winning it. But again, just like in Korea, they will need a lot of luck. They need to finish 1-2 and get the fastest lap and hope that the Red Bulls only score 6 points to win the Constructors' Championship. So 6 points being 8th and 9th for the Red Bulls. And a 1-2 finish for Mercedes will do very nicely as Lopez crosses the line and he improves to go up into second. 8 tenths though off of Car, mainly because of the lack of slipstream he had. Sontag improves but remains in 15th, still ahead of Gomez as Car overtakes Evan Byrne there. I don't think Byrne will be pretty happy with that one, given he's only in the cusp of the top 10. As Car does not improve, nor does Byrne. De Rosa crosses the line. He goes up into 4th. So a big improvement there for De Rosa. Wilson across the line, she will go, and she remains in 14th. Garma goes up into 9th, so he gets out of the drop zone, but pushes Byrne into the drop zone as a result. But still not exactly the result that Garma would have wanted. I don't know if he got held up again on that lap, as Motrin now then comes out of the final turn. And onto the pit straight now then will go the Hungarian, as he now comes across the line and remains in P8. Laura Chung is not on an improvement, and she crosses the line and remains in 12th position. Gal, meanwhile, up on his personal best, crosses the line and goes up to second, splits the 2 Mercedes, 7 tenths off of Armar Car. Joseph Willow is also up on his personal best, and he goes up into 8th. Both Renaults are now in the drop zone. Chatfield doesn't improve, remains where he is. Galloway didn't improve, he stays in 11th position. So both Renaults again in the drop zone so far. Chatfield in 7th, by the way, that was what I was trying to say earlier. Roberto Garma now, then he's not on an improvement. He's currently up in the 6th position as the Italian now then makes his way in towards the final corner. As now he makes his way down the pit straight and across the line will go Roberto Gamba, and he does not improve. Sontag coming into the pits, and I think that's everybody done on the second lap. No, Alfa Romeo. There's an Alfa Romeo on their lap, and that's Gabriel Gomez we're having to look at, but he's currently down on his personal best. I'm not sure if he got held up in the last set, because as you can see, he is overall 3 seconds off of Armar Car. We'll wait and see on that, as there's 2 cars going side by side there. I think those 2 are going into the pit, but it looks like they're going to stay single file, in fact, so they're going to decide no on that one for Yuri's test bed. As now here comes Gabriel Gomez. Across the line will go the Brazilian, and no improvement for him. He stays in 16th and still 3 seconds off of Armar Car. So that's that then. And whether anybody else will get out for a third and final run is another question. I think we will get some, but I don't think everybody will. So that's something to pay attention to, as Sontag is wheeled back into the garage, and Wilson back in her garage as well. And we wait for the next runs to happen for anybody who is going to be doing a third and final run here in Q2. Wilson getting wheeled back into the garage as we wait for the next laps to happen. So far in the drop zone, we have both Renaults of Galloway and Byrne, Chung, Wilson, Sontag, and Gomez. Franco Gamba so far on the cusp of the top 10, and he has been a quali merchant this season. In fact, he's won his qualifying battle against Miklos Gal, but who knows really? If he doesn't get back out, he could be under threat from being eliminated here in Q2, which would be a disaster for Franco, because this is not the right time for him to be doing this, given he has a little bit of pressure to try and retain his Red Bull seat for next season, as Armar Car is going out, so he will be doing a third and final flying lap, maybe to see if he can try and improve on that 1 minute 29.606 he has done. Car now then goes out onto the racetrack now then, as he now makes his way down towards the first corner. Anybody else going to join him? Yes, Gabriel Gomez is going to give himself one more chance to make it through into Q2. Franco Gamba's gone out, so he's gone out to try and make sure that nobody eliminates him, see if he can try and improve on his lap. Looking at the seconds ticking down, Gomez, in fact no, Gomez is in the pits, I read that wrong. Sontag is out on track, Anybody else in the bottom 6 going to join Sontag? And the answer to that is no. Both Renaults are out. Galloway and Byrne are out. Chung is out. Wilson is out. And Gomez is out. I read that wrong because he actually didn't come into the pitch just yet. So Gomez is out. Only Sontag will be the only person to get one more lap in and try and see if he can get his Williams through into Q3. As Franco Gamba is also out there just to make sure that Sontag doesn't do.
Yep. Meanwhile, on board car, yep, Sontag will have to gain a lot of. We need to find a lot of time. Meanwhile, Joe is lagging on his end.
Discord decided to play it on me again there. So I was already praising it earlier today, and now it's playing up again. Well done.
You're meaning to reverse psychology again.
Yeah. You can now hear me, can't you, Ral? Just make
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Okay, so Carr starts his final flying lap then of Q2. As he will now make his way down towards the first 2 corners, although there is some traffic on the right-hand side you see there, but I think it's just far away, but it's not like it's going to matter for Carr because he's going to be through anyway. But anyway, through into the turn 2, some of these guys just getting mileage runs here at the end of Q2. Some of these guys not putting in one more flying lap. And let's see what Carr can do now then into the first sector. And he's 3 tenths down off his personal best. So I'm not expecting him to pull anything out in the final 2 sectors. 2, 1, 0. Checkered flag is out. That is the end of Q2. Flat out for the left and right hander now. Then we'll go on our car. In the curve on the outside. Now making his way towards the double right hander through the next section of corners we go now then. Using the curve on the outside before making his way up towards the hairpin now then. See what Omar Carr can do as he approaches the end of Sector 2. And he is 6 tenths down. So yeah, I'm not expecting Carr to improve, but we'll see what lap time he does anyway at the end of this session. Heading towards the flat out left and right hander where we saw a couple of mistakes in Q1, specifically from De Rosa and Byrne. Into the second to last corner. And now approaching the final corner now then we'll go Omar Carr. And let's see what the Brit can do. He will now make his way towards that final turn. He will now make his way towards the pit straight. To the final corner. Onto the pit straight now then. We'll go the Mercedes driver. And Carr crosses the line. Can he somehow find a way to improve? And no, he can't. 9 tenths off. Garmin, meanwhile, is improving. Let's see what he can do. This has to be a better lap for him to ensure that he is secure because of the fact that Sontag is out there. Garmin crosses the line, goes up to 3rd. That's a much better lap for him. In fact, gets in front of Lopez. So P3 for Frank Garmin, but Sontag, meanwhile, is not up on his personal best. So at the moment, Motrin is on the cusp, but I think he's going to be okay as Lopez is up on his personal. They're getting some nice slipstream from Sontag, like Carr did a little bit earlier on in the session. Sontag crosses the line. Can he find some time in the last sector? No, he can't. He is out. Lopez gets up into 2nd place thanks to that slipstream, but still 3 tenths off of Carr. Motrin crosses the line. He goes up to 3rd, gets in front of both Red Bulls. As a result, Willows is on the cusp, but I think that's it for everybody. So there you have it then. Our bottom 6 is secure, which is as you can see on the screen, with Carr at the top, Lopez in 2nd, and Roland Motrin in 3rd position. And your bottom 6, just to confirm, are Jake Galloway, Evan Byrne, Laura Chung, Amelia Wilson, Felix Sontag, and Gabriel Gomez. So, what do you think of that session overall, Ra?
Yeah, pretty tense qualified session. Not as tense as Q1 in the wet, but yeah. Good luck. First of all, good luck by Amelia Wilson. She managed to get into the 131s, which is a bit of a surprise compared to Felix Sontag and Gabriel Gomez, who did 132s. So, impressive lap.
Another great qualifying in the end there for Amelia Wilson. Another 14th position for Amelia Wilson this season. Did she get that in Korea, if I'm not mistaken, as well, last time out? Or was that at another race she got 14th? Because I know that she has qualified P14 this season. I just can't remember where.
Not sure, but yep.
So I didn't quite hear that because Ra talked over. Okay, it was Korea then.
Apologies
so I'm
for that.
just going to type this up, guys, as we wait for Q3 to get underway. And so apologies if I go a little bit silent for the moment, as per usual. In the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Malaysian Grand Prix. Just leave that in the stream chat while you can, whilst we are waiting for Q3 to get underway. Let's just put them up on Twitter. Do 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 do. And there we go then. There we go. Put it up on Twitter. There we go. So just got to wait now for Q3 to get underway in this session. So that's that really. And so again, guys, leave your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Malaysian Grand Prix. I'll ask you in a little bit, Ra, once we get onto the loading screen. Yeah, in the meantime, just give us your predictions, guys, whilst we wait for Q2 to get underway here at Malaysia. And so, as we wait now then for the next session to get underway, obviously, as you may have noticed as well, this past weekend, of course, for anybody who lives outside of Europe, the European clocks went forward by an hour, which meant we lost an hour in bed in the early hours of Sunday morning. So that's why you're now seeing the times in British summertime as opposed to Greenwich Meridian time. So that's why it says BST on the graphic, as you can see there. And hello there, David. Yes, unfortunately, you've qualified P21 on the grid thanks to the wet conditions. So apologies there, David.
Basically, your AI hates the rain in qualifying.
Pretty much, in the words of Ra there. But yeah, so far it has been quite an interesting qualifying. Of course, Yuri had made some changes. He did confirm to us he did make some changes to the pit lane entrance between Q1 and Q2, although we haven't really seen them in full effect. Of course, let's not forget as well, in Q3, there is a 20% chance of rain for that one. Now, whether it will happen or whether it will just be dry like we saw in Q2, because that was 15% chance of rain, we will have to wait and see. But, yeah, so that's something as well to bear in mind as we wait. So far, Amar has topped both. Well, no, he hasn't topped. I keep forgetting Gal topped the end of Q1 because, of course, there was all that chaos towards the end of the session where it seemed that everything was just coming in quick succession, and it kind of made me forget that Gal topped it in the end of Q1. But obviously, Car Cup Q2, and we're getting set for Q3. And as you can see, the rain has stayed away. So we haven't got the 20% chance of rain. It will stay away for this session. So I think without further ado, let's get into it. And who do you believe will be on pole, Ra?
Our car.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say Armar Car as well. And just reading everybody else's prediction in the stream chat. Chris Chatfield says Car will take pole. Fonchanik says Car will take pole as well. So I think a lot of people are saying Armar Car for pole position here at Malaysia. So we are then in the garage, getting set for the final qualifying session of the day. And for Q3 to see who will take pole position for the returning Malaysian Grand Prix tomorrow. 56 laps, of course, tomorrow. And hopefully it will not be as chaotic as what it was back in 2017. We don't want another situation where Yuri is nearly pulling his hair out again. So, anyway, we've got a car on track. That is Kirishima DeRosa. Just like in Q2, he's going to be the first on track to do a lap for Q3. So, DeRosa now then getting out onto the racetrack. And we're going to wait and see for him to start his first flying lap of Q3. So he's the first man out on the racetrack. Also joining him is George Roke in the Racing Point. He's just joined on track as well as they come out of turn 2 and then around the long swooping turn 3 before making his way up towards turn 4 will go Kirishima DeRosa. And now into turn 4 using all the curb on the inside and then on the outside as well. Flat out through the turn 5 and 6 complex, so through the first part, then in through the second part, maybe a lift of acceleration through the second part, but it's still a very quick corner before heading towards the double wide tando, and the exit of that corner is obviously where Vitaly Petrov had his flying moment from back in 2011 when he snapped his steering wheel off after hitting a bump on the AstroTurf. A few more cars have come out along with DeRosa and Roke. We've got Franco Gamba, Chris Chatfield, Joseph Willows, Roland Motrin and George Roke out there as well, and so is Mikkel Scow. And also out there, I think we've got Roberto Gama. I think all 10 cars, in fact, are now out on the track. Just looking at the mini-map, yes, I think all 10 cars are now out there. As DeRosa now then comes out of the second to last corner. So he will now approach the final corner. Let's see what DeRosa can do, as he will be the first to start a lap very, very soon. At the final turn he goes. Onto the pit straight, we'll go the Polish driver, and he's going to start his lap round about. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it now. So Kiro starts his lap now then as he makes his way down towards the first 2 turns of the racetrack. Obviously, we mentioned that all 10 cars are out on the racetrack, so luckily for De Rosa, there won't be any traffic to disturb him on this occasion. Although, maybe if he got some towards the end, he could get some healthy slipstream like we saw with the Mercedes is a little bit earlier on in Q2 on the Williams and Felix Sontager. 22.896 for De Rosa in the first sector, a 23.160 for Roke. So at the moment, De Rosa is actually up on Roke in the first sector as we speak. Just keeping an eye on what everybody else's first sector is like as De Rosa comes out of turn 6 there, and now heading into the double right-hander, soon approaching the end of sector 2. 22.970 for Franco Gamba, so even he's down on De Rosa in the first sector. Rosa now then goes around the hairpin, a 23.317 for Chris Chatfield. There's a 53.188 for De Rosa in the second sector that time by, a 53.6 for Roke, so he's still around 5 tenths down on De Rosa in the second sector there. As it's a 22.768 for Gal, so he's up on De Rosa in the first sector, so there's somebody going quicker than De Rosa at this point in time. But De Rosa now then heading towards the final corner. Let's see what he's able to do now then, heading into the final corner. And onto the pit straight he will go. 22.6 for Carr in the first sector, but only a 23.1 for Lopez in the first sector. De Rosa crosses the line at 1 minute 30.590 is the benchmark time. Roke crosses the line and he finds himself 5 tenths down and goes into second place. Here comes Franco Gamba, who also finds himself down on De Rosa in the first 2 sectors, but only by 6,000, so he could gain it back in that last sector. Let's see, Franco Gamba comes out in the final turn, and onto the pit straight goes the Italian. Can he get above Kirishima De Rosa? And no, he can't. He loses a bit of time in the last sector and only goes second, 89 thousandths off of Kira in the end. Chris Chatfield down the pit straight, across the line he will go, and he goes 4th with that lap. Here comes Roland Motrin coming out of the final turn onto the pit straight now. Then we'll go the Hungarian. Let's see what he can do. Motrin crosses the line and he goes into 3rd position. Here comes Miklos Gal. He's way up on De Rosa from the second sector. Was 4 tenths up. Crosses the line. It's a 129.964 for Miklos Gal. Joseph Willows in the McLaren comes across the line. What can he do? Only pits P6 for Willows in front of Chatfield. As Roberto Gamba currently holding up Carr, but Carr will get some healthy slipstream from that, as it's only P2 actually for Carr. So we've got a little bit held up too much there by Roberto Gamba, who slots the 9th. Lopez crosses the line, goes into 6th. Again, not quite the qualifying that Lopez is expecting again. But at the moment, because of that hold up, Gal finds himself at the top by 3 tenths of a second out of Carr, and De Rosa currently 3rd at the moment, Ra.
Yeah, a bit surprising for De Rosa. He actually had a good first sector. I think it was slightly quicker than his first sector in Q2, but I think it's pretty good for him and really good luck for him. Could he improve? We will see.
Indeed. We've got some more predictions now whilst everybody comes into the pits. David Cupot says Carr for pole, but he believes it'll be from Lopez, Gamba, and a surprising P4. Lee Bailey has said can, I think you mean Carr, Motrin, and Lopez. And Dennis is, well, that's not a prediction. He's just only said that at the moment. Or is that a prediction? Because he said it twice. I think that is a prediction. So he said Gal pole because he said it twice, look, as you can see. So I think that was a prediction for Dennis. So that's that. They're all the predictions we have in the stream chat. No more reading any more predictions that come our way as the sun comes out in my room. I'm going to bake like some bread at the moment. So as George wrote now then, comes into the pit lane, gets wheeled back into the pit lane by his mechanics as we wait for the second runs to get underway for Q3. With Gal at the moment currently at the top of the timing sheets, the man who won last time out, of course, at South Korea last week, and looking to see if he can try and get pole position here at Malaysia. And as Motrin will get wheeled back into the garage very, very soon. So currently in 5th place at the moment, as he's now going to get wheeled back into the garage. And so Motrin now then into the garage he goes as they now wait for the next runs to happen as the timer continues to tick down on the top of your screen. All 10 cars are now in the pit lane, as you can see from the timing tower on the left-hand side. Gal at the top from Carr in 2nd, De Rosa 3rd, Franco Gamba in 4th, and Motrin 5th, Lopez in 6th, then Roke 7th, Willows 8th, Chatfield in 9th, and then Roberto Gamba so far completing the top 10 at this point in time. Roberto Garma finding himself 2 seconds off of Miklos Gal at this present moment as the seconds continue to tick down. And so we are going to wait. And as now there is as De Rosa is going out on the racetrack again, so he's not wasting any time as he'll be starting his second flying lap very, very soon. As now De Rosa now then is out on the racetrack as he goes through the first corner. And yes, Dennis did clarify that is his prediction, so thank you for the clarification there. As De Rosa heads out of turn 2 and then through the long swooping right-hander he will go to prepare for his next lap. Roke has also come out onto the racetrack, looking to see if he can try and improve on that 7th position as De Rosa makes his way up through the hill now then, before making his way through the flat-out left and right-hander. So through the flat-out left and then into the right-hander he'll go, as Willows and Chatfield are now out on the racetrack along with Carr as well. Now Gal has gone out on the racetrack, so it's just Franco Gamba, Motrin Lopez and Roberto Gamba who are left to go out onto the racetrack as De Rosa now makes his way towards the hairpin. There's actually more coming out of the pit lane now as we speak, so I think they're all just about to come out on the track. So De Rosa will once again not get any traffic, which will be good news for him as he looks to see if he can improve on that 1 minute 30.590 that he set earlier on, which has put him in third position. But let's not forget as well, Lopez did get held up a little bit in traffic and only finds himself... No, in fact, he didn't get held up, did he? That was Carr that got held up.
Yeah.
So I got the two Mercedes mixed up there by mistake. Carr currently 3 tenths off of Gal. Whether he can try and dethrone him is another question. And whether Lopez can try and improve on that 6th position, we will have to wait and see. De Rosa comes out of the final turn and onto the pit straight. He will now go as De Rosa now starts his second flying lap of Q3. And now making his way down towards the first 2 turns. You can see Roke in the background about to start his lap as well. As through the first turn will go De Rosa. And through the second corner we go, as he will now make his way down towards the long swooping right-hander now then. And let's see what the end of the first sector is going to be like for the Polish driver. And he's 3 tenths down on his personal best, in fact, in the first sector, and half a second off of Gal in that first sector at the same time as well. Now into turns 5 and 6 he will go. I know that people like to gain some time. In fact, in the second sector, we saw it a bit in practice and in the bit of qualifying today, that the drivers tend to gain more time in the second sector than they do in the first sector. But given that De Rosa was 3 tenths off in that first sector, I would not be surprised if this is not going to be much of an improvement either, as he now makes his way towards the hairpin. And now coming out of the turn. And his second sector, yeah, he's way off. In fact, he's nearly a second off his personal best in the second sector. So this is not a good lap, in fact, for Kirishima De Rosa, as he now makes his way towards the flat-out left and right-hander. Still, better than a lot quicker than the real life for McLaren right now in 2022, you'd have to say. But McLaren hoping in the fantasy era that is not going to be the case for them when it arrives in 2021. But anyway, De Rosa now then making his way towards the final turn. Can he pull some kind of miracle in the last sector? I doubt it, but let's see. Out the final turn and onto the pit straight then will come Kirishima De Rosa. He now crosses the line and does not improve. Roke, meanwhile, he is on an improvement. Let's see what he can do, as he's now going to come down the pit straight and across the line, and he does not improve. He actually lost time in the last sector, in fact, because he was up on his personal best. Chatfield's up on his personal best, and he goes up to 5th. A big improvement there for Chris Chatfield. Willows is down on his personal best. He's currently in 9th. Across the line he will go, and he remains in 9th. He was up on his personal best in the first sector, but has lost time. Carr down on his personal best, so he's not improving, and he stays in 2nd place. Meanwhile, the Red Bull behind, as we're going to have a look at a replay for some reason. Why are we looking at a replay?
Lost 4 attempts in the first sector. It seemed he lost 4 attempts in the first sector. He must have had a...
No, I think it was just a normal lap. I think it was just a poor lap for Carr. As Gal does not improve. Meanwhile, his teammate is improving. Can he try and dethrone his teammate? Nobody goes up to 3rd. So Franco Gama improves there. As dog commentary has returned. You can just hear one of my dogs in the background barking. But Motrin is up on his personal best. Let's see what he can do. He's currently in 6th. He goes up to 3rd. A good lap for him. Roberto Gama across the line. He goes 9th. He gets in front of Willow. Lopez is up on his personal best. Can he dethrone Gal from the top? No, he can't. He gets onto the front row, though. He gets up into 2nd place. Gets in front of teammate Carr at this point in time. So there the next run's done. But it's still Gal at the top of the time sheet. The Mercedes have not got anything to respond to him at the moment, Ra.
Yeah, at the moment, Carr, he didn't look like he had the best of laps at all on that second run. and he didn't improve much and did a great lap. Just getting ahead of Franco Gamba up to 4th. Franco Gamba in 5th. De Rosas didn't improve, unfortunately. He's in 6th. But yeah, so far, it's getting interesting so far. But we'll see who would take pole on these final runs.
Indeed so, and just getting some statistics up for the moment. So obviously at the moment, Miklos Gal is currently on pole at the moment, but I will tell you a very interesting fact. Gal has not had a pole since 2016. His last pole came at Austria of 2016 in the wet conditions. The last few seasons, he's never got a pole position. So could that end today, or could the Mercedes just spoil that? We'll wait and see. We'll see who's going to get a third flying lap, because I'm not expecting everybody to get a third flying lap in, but I am expecting some to as well. It's a second tick down on the timer on the top of your screen as Roke gets wheeled back into the garage. And so let's wait and see. Will De Rosa get out first again like we saw on the previous 2 occasions and do a third flying lap as the mechanics are just working on Roke's car at this point in time as we wait to see who's going to go out onto the racetrack as we wait to see who's going to be able to do a third flying lap. Just trying to see if there are any movements about in the pit lane as we look on the right hand side of Roland Motrin, and just waiting about as Motrin gets wheeled back into the garage. Just over 2 minutes left. If anybody's going to do another lap, they need to go out now. Because otherwise they won't be able to do another lap, as I think Roland won't be able to do a lap because he was one of the last cars to come into the pits, but Roke is going to. So Roke is going to do one more flying lap to see if he can go higher than 8th, given that his teammate is currently on the 2nd row at this point in time. Apologies again if you can hear my dogs, as Roke now then goes out onto the racetrack. Will anybody else join him? Will De Rosa join him for another lap? Chatfield's going out. I think he might just be able to get out in time. Let's see. It depends really, because I know that the start-finish line is quite further back, so we'll have to put where the pit exit line is. So we'll have to wait and see on that with Chatfield. I'm not sure with Willards. I don't think he's going to have enough time to do that, but Roke will have enough time to do one more flying lap. So it looks like the Mercedes is not going to get pole for this race. We're not going to have a Mercedes pole here in Malaysia. At the moment, it's looking like it's going to go the way of Red Bull, unless somebody like George Roke can stop him. We know that the Racing Points are capable of performing some magic in qualifying, so let's not rule them out just yet, as Roke preparing for his final flying lap. He will now make it towards the hairpin now then. As he now comes out of the hairpin, through the long swooping right-hander he will go, before making his way towards the second to last corner. And now he will come towards the flat-out left and right-hander, so through the left into the right-hander we go, as they now make the way towards the second to last corner. Again, sorry about my dog in the background, she won't shut up. So, as now Roke makes his way towards the final corner, as he will start his final flying lap now then, into the final turn. And onto the pit straight then will go George Roke. He will now start his lap. And Roke starts his final flying lap now. Then will Chatfield start his, or is it too late for him? Around the final turn, and I think he's not going to make it. I think he's lost it. No, it's just going to be Roke then. That's just going to do a final flying lap then here in Q3. Roke coming out of the turn 2 now then, through the flat out long right-hander of turn 3. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to Miklos Gal. And he is 4 tenths down and only 38 thousandths off his personal best. So Roke could still improve if he's able to find some time in the middle sector. We know that the drivers do tend to find some time in that middle sector, but sometimes they don't. So let's see what Roke can do then in this middle sector. Roke now then through double right-hander. Now coming towards the hairpin now, then we go. And let's see what his second sector is like compared to his personal best. So 53.662 for Roke in the second sector earlier on, and he's still down on his personal best, 1 tenth down. So I don't think this is going to be an improvement unless he performs a miracle in the last sector. I think Roke is going to stay in P8, but we will see. So coming around the left and right hander, then we'll go George Roke into the second to last corner, and now heading down back straight before heading towards the final corner on the racetrack then. As George wrote now then, pedal to the metal, heading down towards the hairpin now then for the final time, the final corner on the racetrack, flicking it in through the left-hander, heading down the pit straight, and Roke is now going to cross the line. Can he find a miracle in the last sector? I doubt it. Cross the line. No, he can't. Remains in 8th. So that means, as a result, for the first time since Austria 2016, Miklos Gau is going to be starting tomorrow's Malaysian Grand Prix from pole position. We're now going to mute ourselves and let you enjoy the pole lap from Miklos Gau. And that is how Miklos Gau took pole position for tomorrow's Malaysian Grand Prix. A very good lap indeed. The man who won last time out in Korea has finally taken his first pole in 4 seasons. But can he make it 2 wins in a row tomorrow here at Malaysia? Of course, the last time he went to Malaysia, it was a Red Bull who won, but that was Miklos Gau. Not Miklos Gau, that was Amar Kar. Who was his teammate back then as well. So it will be interesting. So here is the top 10 then. Miklos Gau on pole with Franco Lopez in 2nd, Amar Kar in 3rd, with Roland Motrin in 4th, Franco Gamba in 5th, followed by Kirishima De Rosa in 6th, Chris Chatfield in 7th, George Roke in 8th, Roberto Gamba in 9th, and Joseph Willows completes the top 10. So what do you make of that session as a whole, Ra?
Really interesting session. I mean, Mercedes pretty much mucked it up in the after the first runs. They completely mucked it up with their setups, and Carl was on course to beat Gal, but only by just. But he got held up in the end in the final sector, which pretty much cost him around nearly 4 tenths in the final sector, and it not only cost him pole, it cost him the front row.
Yeah, indeed, because Franco Lopez seems to have tidied up his qualifying form because he's now on the front row for tomorrow's race. And Amar Kar, yeah, you mentioned there, got held up and then wasn't able to do anything on his second lap. Well, that is it for the qualifying session here at Sepang. A very interesting session indeed, and hopefully a very interesting race tomorrow for the return of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Of course, we will not be doing the commentary for tomorrow because, of course, we let George do that for the highlights. Obviously, we're not done with streams just yet because coming up in just under an hour's time, we will have the GP2 race coming your away from Bruno, which has Bent Valdinger on pole position ahead of Joseph Frederick Suto. So it will be interesting to see who wins that race. And of course, you'll also find out what the penultimate race of the GP2 season is going to be, because the third and final standalone race will get revealed after that race. But until then, it's been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Ra. And we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 56 lap Malaysian Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Bye.